Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Everything Tax by Andersen in the UAE. As we have the ever evolving tax landscape, we have another significant update for you, which is the introduction of the Customs Policy number 58 of 2024. So it has a lot of implications and takeaways, and we're here to dissect it today in today's episode. We are joined today by a very esteemed guest, one of our own, my colleague, Mr. Ravi Mullah. Thank you for being here, Ravi.
Yeah, hi Rishi, and hello everyone. It's great to be here, and I'm very excited to break it down for our listeners today.
Great. So, Ravi, let's start with the baseline question, of course. What is the crux of this new customs policy that they've
Certainly,
introduced?
Rishi, the the custom policy 58 of 2024 introduces the voluntary disclosures in the customs,
Mm-hmm.
which encourages the importers and exporters to correct their previous mistakes done in the custom declarations.
Okay.
Okay, which allows transparency by offering the partial and full waiver of penalties, which arise
Okay.
due to that custom declarations, voluntary disclosure of custom declarations.
Okay. That is very interesting. And honestly, it sounds like a very positive change, right? But I mean, what do you think the intention? What is the purpose of introducing the voluntary disclosures?
Yeah. So actually, we can say like there are many businesses in UAE which are into import and exports, like specifically to Dubai. So many businesses are into import and export businesses. So they are dealing with a lot of suppliers from outside UAE, and they have a lot of imports get like they'll import a lot of consignments or something. There is
Mm-hmm.
scope for the violations in respect of many things, like in relation to customs or something like that.
Okay.
So in order to give a chance to them, so customs authority, Dubai Customs Authority
Mm.
has introduced this concept, so that it will ensure the self regulation of by the businesses, so they can file a voluntary disclosures to correct their previous mistakes which are done unintentionally.
Okay. So, I mean, you brought up the entire topic is kind of oriented about violations, right? So, can you talk to us and guide us about what kind of violations are covered under the scope of this update? So, what can be corrected through a voluntary disclosure as per the update?
Yeah, this custom policy has covered a few custom violations.
Mm-hmm.
I can name few like the one is like import export violations, uh, and maybe violations in the custom making custom declarations, and warehouse violations, transit violations, and import for temporary import admission violations, and maybe there is some restricted area scope violations, and re-export violations, and there are many other similar related to that. These are covered under this for the to correct through voluntary disclosures are covered here.
Okay. That is great. Now, again, quite a baseline question, but how do you file a voluntary disclosure? Like, what is the general process?
So similar to like our tax regime in respect to VAT and excise. So the similar mechanism is adopted for the customs as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now taxpayer has to submit the voluntary disclosure in electronic form in a self audit submission services mode, and along with that we need to submit supporting documents in relation to that violation, like what are the reasons, something like that, so that that Dubai Customs Authority will review it, and they'll get back to us with the queries and something like that.
Okay, so that's an interesting point. Now, I mean, can anyone file the voluntary disclosure? It's open to all taxpayers at any point in time, or is there some exception?
Yeah, generally yes for all types of businesses, but there are two exceptions we can say.
Okay.
Like the currently the persons who are undergoing the post clearance customs audit by
Hmm.
Dubai Customs, and then the persons who are already notified by the Dubai Customs for the notice, like they will say like, okay, we are going to audit your records or something like that. Those
Mm-hmm.
two persons are exempted to file a voluntary disclosures. Apart from that, all businesses can file a voluntary disclosures.
Okay. That is cool. I mean, so when you're doing a correction of compliance, right? So when you're doing these voluntary disclosure, more likely than not, let's say you've missed a violation, and now that violation means you would have to pay that customs duty
Exactly,
that is
exactly.
payable. So, is there any defined deadline or timeline for payment of like the payable tax
Yeah,
through voluntary disclosures, or?
Yeah, exactly. So generally, once you submit the voluntary disclosure, then Dubai Customs will notify you this financial claim. This much is the amount you are required to pay for the penalty or like whatever the due. In such a case, the businesses should pay within 30 days of date of notifying the financial claim.
Okay.
Otherwise, the whatever the voluntary disclosure you submitted will be treated as invalid, and the enforcement actions will be taken in respect of the same.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's noteworthy. That is something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Now, Ravi, obviously, throughout your journey as a tax person and as being an expert in the field as well, especially with customs, what are your takeaways or your insights towards the best policies for identification or correction or mitigation of these violations from a customs perspective? First of all, how does one identify it? And how does one mitigate?
Yeah. So in order to identify errors, like to effectively identify the errors, so businesses can conduct the internal audit. I mean, like the internal team can audit the custom records or whatever, and maybe external audit also we can take place, and also utilization of like automated tools and software to detect those errors. And maybe you can effectively train your staff. Okay, so for example, like who are handling these custom declarations and who are taking care of complaints related to the customs, you should effectively train, and you have to navigate this custom policy effectively to them. So then there is then they should be aware of all these videos and everything, so then they can easily going through this things, and they'll correct it everything proper way. And second thing is like one of the major important point is like reconciliations. So like for our businesses, we suggest to everyone like do a three-way reconciliations. One is between your books of accounts and custom records, and your custom records versus VAT records if you are into VAT regime, or maybe custom records versus your excise records if you are into excise regime. So this is a three-way reconciliation. So if you perform the reconciliations, you can easily identify the many errors which are not identified only if you do the custom records verification or something like that. So in such a case, after doing that exercise, so you can pull out all those errors, and you can file a voluntary disclosure, so that you can ensure that self-regulation in respect of customs. And another thing is like if you are uncertain, this is the one thing. And the another thing was like if you are unsure or uncertain about the custom rules and maybe custom regulations, so we suggest or we recommend to the like businesses to appoint a reputed appoint a consultants, so that they will navigate you the policies and procedures, so that they will guide you to to compliant in respect of custom records and violations, something like that. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, and that is very valuable insight. I think another point to even be discussed here, Ravi, is that practically this change brings upon significant amount of implications. So when you're thinking about customs compliances as a whole, it is a large scope of compliance that these businesses have to do on a day-to-day basis. So you have aspects that suddenly you have the opportunity to rectify now, such as reconciliations, right? Inventory plays a big part of custom. Quantities is the main crux of it itself. So you have customs in tandem with the other indirect tax regime that is present in the UAE, i.e., value-added tax and excise tax. Both have heavy involvement in the aspect of inventory. Yes, so the correlation is there. So that linkage between them, and to do the three-way reconciliation between all those along with your internal books becomes very imperative. And now wherever there's no scope for any errors or anything, you have the availability to go and correct it. And again, it's a great change. And also, if you think about there are many instances where there's customs exemptions. You think about free zones and companies that are incorporated in a free zone and doing activities from there. So there they might think, okay, it's exempt, why do we need to bother with anything? But there are also a lot of hidden disclosures, there's reporting, and they still have compliances. And generally, whenever you have an exemption itself from any tax, your compliance actually has to be even additional to the normal taxpayer. So that becomes something where it is not a facility just to correct your mistakes, but it's an invitation essentially from the customs department saying that start reviewing your, the past compliances, do the health checks, and look at your compliances from a holistic perspective from end
Exactly.
to end, and make sure that all those are in the correct side of the law,
Yeah.
right? And I suppose it is something that businesses need to keep in mind as a way forward. And do you
Yeah.
have any final thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, actually, it's great that Dubai Customs is taken these initiatives,
Right.
and this kind of they want to give a chances to the tax like all businesses to rectify their errors, so that we like they I mean like in respect of the like custom records and everything, so that they will be complained in all manner. So to ensure the transparency and everything in all possible and best manner. So this is a great initiative, I can say.
Right. Okay, fantastic. Thank you for extremely valuable insights, Ravi. It was a great learning for all of us, and thank you for being here. Thank you to the viewers for watching. Don't forget to follow us on our social media. If you liked our content, we'll be coming out with more episodes as well. And we appreciate your time. Thank you and goodbye. Thank you, Ravi.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in next episode with the latest topics. Thank you.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you.